Hello, this is Clayton with Aeromotive Research and Development Group, and today we're going to be talking about the water quality distilled versus regular tap for coolant system heat transfer performance. Now, I might say, what is the reason for this? Well, a lot of people just say, well, I just use regular water. Well, we got a problem here, all right, because we've got standard tap water versus pure water, all right. You're going to still, no matter how much you filter it, you're going to have trace amounts of salts and minerals, and at about 130 to 140 degrees Fahrenheit, these salts and minerals were released from the water into the system, creating multiple problems, including corrosion, rust, and contamination. Say, what do you mean by that? Well, if you were to take a regular pan on your stove and heat it up, and then you use regular water, and you see all the white scum and everything that comes out and it sticks to the pan, guess what that is when you're making your pasta, okay? You know what that water is? That's salts and minerals. And that is the same problems that we want to avoid inside of a racing or automotive coolant system. Reason to use distilled, not tap or filter water is pretty simple. You see, tap or filtered water, no matter how clean it looks or tastes, has microparticles of salts and minerals and contaminants, invisible to the human eye, that falls out at 130 to 140 degrees Fahrenheit. Now distilled water through the evaporation and condensation process is 100% clean. So do not use tap or filtered water. Just go to the supermarket for distilled or find some technical grade distilled water if possible. Now, you need pure water distilled to maximize the coolant system heat transfer performance, both in the engine and the radiator. Now, heat transfer performance is through convection. You see, most heat transfer is in a cooling system by convection. Heat convection definition is as follows: the transference of heat energy, or BTUs, British thermal units, within a fluid by the actual movement of heated molecules from one place hot to another cool. Now, a cooling convection process is the reverse or opposite, within a fluid by the actual movement and the transfer of molecules from one place cool, like the radiator, to the other hot, to the engine. Now, the key is to use the distilled water with a specific formulated chemistry in the coolant system designed to conduct these duties with performance repeatability. A considerable amount of the available energy, BTU or British thermal heat, must be relieved from the metal combustion chamber components or walls, heads, etc. by the heat transfer or convection process. You see, this heat energy or convection process is performed by the coolant system, dispersing the BTU heat into the atmosphere through the radiator or the heat exchanger. All right. When the cool air goes over the tubes, then the hot gets transferred to the cool air, goes through. That's why you need a combination of qualified fluid flow and airflow through the radiator. You need both for it to work effectively. Now, question number one: what is the most advanced high-performance fluid chemical material readily available for the professional racing series that's acceptable to use? The answer to that is distilled water, preferably a technical commercial grade. It's sealed and clean, available at a grocery store or a supermarket facility or lab. Now, as mentioned before, distilled water alone amazingly has superior heat transfer properties compared to virtually any other liquid cooling medium. It has 3 times greater thermal conductivity as compared to, let's say, a 50-50 glycol. Now, reasons for the distilled water, as mentioned before, is that pure water, drinking water, no matter how level the purification and filtration process, and I know because we've done this for 5 years and found out you can't filter it, only distilled works, okay? Pure water still has trace amounts of salts and minerals within the water. At 130 to 140 degrees, the salts and minerals released in the water into the system, creating multiple problems, including corrosion, rust, and contamination. As we shared before, standard tap or pure water, no matter how level the purification filtration process, has trace amounts of salt, just like this. And then it will create problems of rust, contamination, and etc. Distilled pure water versus regular tap. You see, with distilled water, impurities are removed by the distillation process. It involves boiling the water, condensing it to steam, and then the salts and minerals are left behind. You see, without the base fluid containing, or the coolant water, the salts and minerals and impurities, then you have less concern regarding contamination. In other words, you're preventing it. It's preventive maintenance. You're stopping the problem before it happens. Now, even though you have distilled water, you still require a qualified coolant additive package. Why? Okay. You need it to 100% work effectively to provide coolant system protection and management. Well, from what? Well, you still have situations of corrosion, rust, foaming, boiling, alloy gases, lubrication of the water pump seals, conditioning of the rubber hoses, and most importantly, heat transfer capability, as we've already mentioned with convection. Convection. Now, one of the most important things here is alloy gases, and that comes from what's called hydrolytes. In other words, hydrogen that's trapped inside of the aluminum. If you do not have a proper chemistry that will be able to coat and work and neutralize with the aluminum, then the hydrogen that's trapped in the aluminum comes out and will start to build system pressure. What do you mean? Well, it could build from 15 to up to 35 pounds per square inch. Well, how does that happen? Because an air bubble has 10 times the compressibility strength as regular water. So you want to prevent that. So look for the presentation on that. It covers it in a little more detail. Now, as mentioned before, tap or filtered water, no matter how clean it looks or tastes, has microparticles of salts, minerals, and contaminants invisible to the human eye that falls out at 130 to 140 degrees Fahrenheit. Just go boil some water when you're doing your pasta, and then you're going to see all the contaminants hit the wall on the big pot, right? So if you cannot have technical grade water, which is used with the water cooler product, then just go buy some at the store. All right, go to the supermarket and get it. It's a quality choice for $1. Now, furthermore, minerals and rust, if you do not do this, all right, and the fallout happens at, I said, between 130 to 140 degrees, minerals and rust will attach upon the metal surfaces of the coolant passages, engine, and radiator, resulting in bad situations. Now, here's a radiator, and it was a $500-600 radiator from someone that had 2,000 national racing miles on it, and you can see the rust and contamination that took place. Or, instead of having the rust and contamination, you can make the choice to use a qualified water with a qualified chemical additive, and that is as presented with a water cooler product. Now, here's a CNR short track radiator. It had a Chevy steel block, 525 horsepower, and it had 2,000 racing miles. Used the Cinmax water cooler premix with the technical grade distilled water, and the radiator was still 100% like new. Say, wow, why did you get this radiator? Because at the national championship race, he got in an accident and hit the wall, so it became a cadaver donation for our cause. Now, another technical grade situation is the IndyCar radiator, which had 5,000 miles on it. Now, this was with under technical directive since 2012 with the IndyCar engine manufacturer. And the results by using Cinmax water cooler with the distilled water, all right, the radiator was like brand new inside. Literally, this is the radiator that had 5,000 racing miles on it. It's from KV Racing. And the only reason that they had to replace it was, even though the radiator was $9,000, you can see on the left section where it's by the D where you had all these rocks and everything hitting it at like 230 miles an hour. So they thought it was just better to replace it at the end of the year. Very good looking radiator. Now, can you be able to use a coolant additive treat rate? Well, what is the acceptable water to coolant coolant system additive treat rate that is normally accepted by what we call general competition rules or general rules of competition or the sporting regulation of the major professional sanctioning series such as NASCAR, FIA, Le Mans, IndyCar, SCCA, ARCA, etc. The general acceptable water to coolant ratio is 5% maximum, all right, and with 95% water, all right. Now, glycol is is that an acceptable product? Well, the answer is no. Glycol in any chemistry or form, ethylene, standard or whatever, is not acceptable in trackside use operations for environmental reasons. Plus, if it's slicky, it's hard to clean off the road if there's an accident. Glycol is not accepted in any form in automotive racing. Now, the best product for use in a coolant system is a concentrate or chemistry with the 5% treat rate with the purified technical water. And the best product that we have found that we designed so far is the SynMax water cooler. Now, if your racing is at like 32 degrees or 40 degrees, then we've got a system for that with the Aeromotive Coolant number 7, which is a bio-based product. But right now, if you do not have anything, just transport the car dry and drive it in warm conditions. So the standard racing coolant with a 5% FIA treat rate is the SynMax water cooler. All right. And here we have a 16-ounce concentrate, and it will treat 2 to 3 gallons, creating the FIA. That is the international racing body in Le Mans. And Formula One, etc. in Europe, which is acceptable in America for the treat rate. So one bottle treats 3 distilled waters. Okay. Now, furthermore, we can get into some more details about what this is all about. All right. And so it doesn't have any glycol chemistry. It's a 5% treat rate. All right. If you put it in 2 gallons, it's okay. A little extra, it's not going to hurt anything. All right. You are going to reduce the standing system pressure from alloy gases. All right, you're going to improve coolant system efficiency with performance repeatability. All right, you're going to have heat transfer. Nucleate and boil performance will be raised or improved. You're going to reduce or eliminate foaming and cavitations. Cylinder head combustion area and overall temperatures will be lowered. Contamination of the coolant system passages will pretty much be eliminated. You're going to have protection for the steel for the rust, the aluminum for the corrosion. You're going to have protection for electrolysis, pH balance, and acidic control. Furthermore, it's going to be able to lubricate the water pump bearings, fluid, surface friction areas, and oh yeah, the friction within the system is going to be greatly reduced as well. It's going to be amazing. And it's going to be able to condition the seals, rubber hoses, and components. Now, if you do not want to go through the hassle of getting your distilled water and trying to make it yourself, what we can do is be able to have the premix product, all right? And what it is a racing coolant product. It's a non-antifreeze, 1 gallon, simple, direct, easy use, guaranteed quality each time. And it has the same high performance 5% FIA treat rate, which is acceptable to all sanctioning bodies. Now, one of the bottom lines we have here is that coolant system cleanliness and performance and repeatability starts at the engine and dyno room. It's through the build, the technical, and the entire race operation. So when you make the decision to work with your engine builder and from the beginning all the way through to the end, many of the problems will be eliminated. Now, since 2012, the V6 turbo engine manufacturer provided the specific technical directive for the use of the SynMax water cooler product with the use of distilled water. Okay. Now, the coolant chemistry used at the engine build dyno sessions during the performance use. And we've got an engine here that maximized at 12,000 RPMs. It has to last 2,500 miles. And when used as directed, SynMax water cooler is the only coolant chemistry used by the IndyCar manufacturer with this PWR or Dallara type radiator. So there has been championships from 2012, 13, 14, 15, and 16 using this coolant system product. Furthermore, out of like over 500 engine builds, and it has been a performance repeatability wonder for the success in this program. Water cooler development in racing and historically has been also designed for military, marine, and commercial automotive. Gasoline or diesel, extreme duty, long life applications. So if you've got a regular car or truck, you still can be able to put this additive in there and help it with some performance advantages. So this is the end of our distilled versus regular water, tap water presentation. So on behalf of Wayne Lensing, who says racing radiator cleanliness and performance equals championship results, we want to thank you. So on behalf of Wayne Lensing, Danny Lensing, Performance Part Supply, Left-Hander Chassis Group, including SynMax Performance Lubricants, we want to thank you for the time that we have today. Should you desire to purchase the product, please contact us at cinmaxoil.com. Give us a call in the Chicagoland area at 815-389-9999. If you have any technical questions, please send us an email at office@aeromotiveresearch.com. Thank you and good day.